normal. One of the ways, this is just one, I have a more hard way that they're going to do it next, but one of the soft ways that they're going to get you to eat bugs is by shaming you. Very similar, like if 4 years ago I said, hey, the government's going to convince you and a majority of people to wear a face diaper everywhere you go all the time, and your kids as well when they go to daycare and preschool, right? And you'd be like, no, that's crazy. No, they'll shame people into it. Just like they shamed people into wearing masks because if you don't, you're going to kill grandma, right? Shame is a very powerful force. And that's why you get stuff like this out of Forbes. They'll say 2.5 billion people already eat bugs, but it's icky to you white people. Look at you white people. You think it's gross. Ugh, why are you so racist? Most of the world already eats them. Don't be racist. Yeah, people who eat bugs do it because they're poor. There's no other choice. No one chooses a bug over a steak. Remember in the beginnings of COVID, people were like, hey, where'd COVID come from? And they're like, oh, it came from a bat. And then you maybe saw this video of a woman eating bat soup. And that's disgusting. And the initial response from the left, when people were like, that's gross, the initial response was, whoa, 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 don't criticize other cultures. How dare you? Don't criticize other cultures' culinary choices. That's racist. And we were like, wow, you know what's really gross? These wet markets, right? Whoa, no, don't criticize wet markets. Sure, in China, you can go to the wet market and buy monkeys and bats and pangolins and other live animals. But don't be racist. That's just their culture. And it's the same thing here. Don't criticize other cultures eating bugs. In fact, you should be eating them too. Want to give it a try? Now, here's the thing. Whenever I make this argument about people eating bugs, people have this vision that some like government employee is going to knock on your door and like give you a bowl of beetles. It's out of Fear Factor. So like here's a bowl full of cockroaches and they're going to shove them down your throat. Like that's the image that people have. And they're like, no, that's not how they're going to do it. They're not going to give you a bowl of bugs like out of the Lion King or something. You just got to eat these bugs for dinner. They're not going to force it like that. Right? So how are they going to do it? Well, we already have fake lab-grown factory-made meat. Looks and feels just like meat, right? The Impossible Burger and Beyond Beef and all this stuff, right? They're going to use bugs to make things you already eat. So you're not just going to eat crickets. They're going to use crickets and mealworm and all these other bugs to make the things that you're already eating. Give an example. There's a massive shortage of tomato sauce coming, right? We don't have time to go into it now, but just know that in California, they grow 25% of the world's canned tomatoes, and they're like, we're out. Like, we don't have any tomatoes coming. So it's gonna be a big, big problem coming soon. But this is no problem. Let's just grind up some bugs, add some food coloring, a couple chemicals, voila. No one can tell the difference. Now we have tomato sauce made out of mealworm. Think that's crazy? Check out this news clip. This right here is how they're gonna get you to eat bugs.
All this cake needs is flour, eggs, and 20 grams of dead insects. No, you haven't misheard. A team of scientists at Belgium's University of Ghent are trying to find a way to substitute dairy in cakes, cookies, and waffles. They say deriving grease from insects is more green than dairy production. By soaking the insects in a little bit of water and then mushing them with a kitchen blender before centrifuges separate a butter-like substance, a grease is made which the team used to bake with. But how does it go down outside of the lab?
For me, there's no difference. So it's actually better. Yeah.
Do you think you would eat insect fat cakes again?
Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
The consumers can't taste the difference when a quarter of the milk butter is replaced with the fat from the insects, but they start to notice when it gets to the halfway mark. So who knows? One day you could be munching on a cockroach croissant as you head to the office, or making your nearest and dearest a beetle birthday cake.
Cockroach croissant. How about that? A butter-like grease substance. A centrifuged butter-like grease substance made from mealworm. And you won't even know the difference. You can't even tell the difference. In fact, it's even more delicious than real butter, and better for the planet too. Next thing we know, they're going to be mandating this, right? All recipes have to be made with 50% centrifuge cockroach butter-like grease substance. This is how bugs are going to be put in your food. That's how you're going to be eating bugs. Why, Slater? Why are they doing this? They're very open about it. This is that scientist who's working on this.
They are more sustainable because they use less land. They are more efficient converting feed to weight. They also use less water to produce. And in this case, they can be produced within Europe. That will decrease the footprint that other type of food sources bring because they come from far away, let's say South America or Southeast Asia.
There you go. So they use less bugs, use less land than cows, obviously. They use less water, better for the environment. We don't need to ship it around the world. That will decrease carbon emissions. It's better for the planet. It's the environmentalists. They're the ones who are getting you to eat bugs. Now, they never will themselves, of course, right? Like at Davos, at the World Economic Forum, they're not going to be eating bugs ever. But the elites don't want you to fly on airplanes, and they have their own private jets, and that's never stopped them before. Their hypocrisy's never stopped before. Why now? So how are they, like I mentioned before, like the soft influence of shaming you, that's not really going to be enough. They need to force you as well. So here's how they're going to force you to eat bugs. It's a 3-step process. First, there's a bank in the Netherlands called Rabo Carbon Bank. This is the CEO of this carbon bank. She says, let's ensure that every household or every citizen of the Netherlands receives a certain amount of carbon emission rights. This way we can ensure that we do not emit more than our yearly limit, okay? So there's this new concept now, your carbon emissions right. It's given to you by the government. The government determines how much right you have as a human being to emit a certain amount of carbon. That's your right, that's your allotment, but no more. You are allowed this much carbon emission. That's it. That's point one. Point two, MasterCard and other credit card companies, surely, American Express specifically has this big ESG movement, we'll get to that later. But MasterCard has a credit card called the Doc Ono, which sounds like a Bond villain, right? For now, it allows you to put a self-imposed carbon spending limit. I say for now self-imposed, pretty soon this won't be. You put your limit on, and when you hit your limit, the card shuts down. They call this sustainable payments. Now what's noteworthy about this is the environmental groups that are out there have scored everything that you can buy with a carbon score. It's called the 2030 calculator. Okay, so everything that exists has a carbon score associated with it. How much it costs to manufacture, ship, and all that stuff, right? So give you examples. This is on their website. You can buy a pair of jeans with a carbon score of 21, or you can buy this other pair of jeans that has a carbon score of 9. Well, that's a 240% difference in the carbon score. One is a high impact item, one is a low impact item. So which do you buy? Well, you maybe want to buy this other pair, but that's a high impact and you're out of your allotment. Sorry, you have to buy this lower impact one. Now, how do they determine the credit score or the carbon score? But I'm sure it will never be corrupted. Third step, right? So just so you know, so we got this idea of a carbon limit that every person has, right? Second step is every item has a carbon score that when you purchase it, it goes towards your limit, okay? And here it is in action. There are restaurants currently today that have with every menu item a CO2 score, a carbon score, right? Think about it like this. For all of human history, until like the mid 1800s, no one had this scientific concept of a calorie. You just ate food. Just killed the food, you ate it. But now we understand calories, and you should have this many calories and this type of calories. So now every food item has a calorie count to it, right? This hamburger has X number of calories, okay? They are doing that now with carbon emissions. So if you look at this menu, you may not be able to see it, but on the left-hand side, you see a 7-ounce beef hamburger has a 10 kilogram carbon rating, right? The double burger has a 20 kilogram carbon rating. But on the right-hand side of the menu, the plant-based side and soon to be insect-based side, the fake food sandwich has a carbon score of only 0.88. Oh, we're saving the planet here. So you're gonna buy the plant-based one. Look how much you're saving the planet. And you're saying, well, I don't care, I want the one that's beef. No, you don't understand. You can't afford the beef one. No, Slater, I got plenty of money. I'll spend whatever it takes to get a beef hamburger. No, you don't understand. You may be able to afford it with dollars, but you can't afford it with your carbon limit. Your carbon allotment has been met. You're done, that's all you got. So you can't eat that burger. Your credit card won't work. You have to buy the plant-based burger instead, that's all there is. But don't worry, the cricket burger feels and tastes just like real meat. It actually has more protein in it, don't you know? And it's better for the planet. It's all you can afford anyway. That's all we'll allow. You've exceeded your carbon emissions rights for the month. And that is how they're going to get you to eat bugs. It's not a bowl full of bugs for dinner. It's ground up bugs. Hey, Slater Crusaders, there is no doubt that the globalists are coming after your food. There's two ways that people can control you. It's to control energy and it's to control food. And they're doing that in many different ways right now. In our special that's available now, we talk about ESG scores. We talk with a cattle rancher and her on the ground experience. And I'm going to make the argument as to how and why these globalists are convincing you, or trying to convince you, to eat bugs. Oh, Slater, I would never do that. I would never. They're going to convince you, and then they're going to force you. That's on our special. Available now on The First TV, thefirsttv.com.